Fashion has always been a big part of many lives and affected many people. Fashion isn't just clothing, it is art. It is a way to express yourself and show your individuality. In this documentary, we will share the importance of fashion, the history of fashion, and how it all has affected us in the process.
As the world changes, fashion changes. When people wear their clothing, they don't think of the process of making the clothing that they are wearing. This is one of the most important parts of fashion. As years go by, new ideas have been created of how to make different clothing that will change the way we look at fashion. To give you an idea of how clothing is made, we have interviewed a woman named Nicola Mill from Levi's.
How would you describe the process that you use at your job to design jeans?
Firstly, we identify trends, mainly in shades of indigos, weights of denim. An example is heavier weights, like 12-13 ounces in a winter, and then in summer we look at lighter weights, like 9-10 ounces. Then we work on finish development. We work up to about 150 each season in our new laundry in San Francisco. Once we've developed all our finishes over about a 6 weeks period, we order fabrics to be sent all over the world to all the different laundries. Once the fabrics have been sewn into what we refer to as bodies, we travel to locations and work with the laundries to implement the washes. We sign off on the approvals, then we show the line to all the local merchants throughout the world at FLA. Only when we have units behind a finish does that mean that the jean will be adopted into the line. We work at Levi's up to 14 months ahead of a season, so it's quite far. This is mainly due to the fact that we sell jeans mainly as a wholesaler rather than a retailer like other companies do.
How do you think fashion design has affected the world and changed over the years?
I think fashion has had both a negative and a positive effect over the years. The need for cheaper, faster fashion, I feel, is very negative. Consumers need to think why their garments cost so little, why they want to have it only for one season and then throw it away, because the consequences to purchase cheaper clothing has major effects on the planet. I'm super excited about younger brands introducing remade clothing into their stores, also on how the industry has started to act towards finding new solutions to waste. For an example, us at Levi's has our wasteless line, where we take up to 8 water bottles and blend it with cotton and make it into jeans. We also take X-ray films and we take frozen microwave meal trays, all of which has to be destined to a landfill in order for Levi's to be able to call out that it's post-consumed waste. We will not take anything that would be recycled and blend it, so we're actually reducing landfills. Currently I'm working on a jean that uses 100% non-virgin materials, so we're calling it 100% trashed.
Even though most people don't think much about fashion design, they think even less about how the process started. Fashion design in ready-made clothes started with a man who lived in the mid-1800s named Charles Friedrich Worth. Worth first came up with the idea of designing ready-made clothes when people inquired about gowns he made for his wife who modeled jewelry. Worth met Empress Eugenie, who became one of his first clients, and from there he dominated the fashion world. Worth's story might not seem like anything special, but before him, there was no such thing as ready-made clothes. Therefore, being a fashion designer did not mean the same thing as it does today. Coco Chanel was another very important, influential fashion designer because her innovative ideas changed women's fashion forever. When a girl goes out and buys a black evening dress, she probably does not realize that the original design came from Coco Chanel. Chanel was a fashion designer who rose to prominence in the 1920s. She is still famous for her signature fragrances and timeless designs like the black evening dress and her suit for women. Her ideas were such a novelty because they borrowed aspects of men's clothing and comfort was a priority.
In this diagram, the first step of making clothing is to do research. What will be in for the next season? What other designers are doing, etc. The next step is designing the clothing, building the model, integrating concepts, coming up with the theme and mood boards for clothing, and finally coming up with the final design solution for your line. The third step is manufacturing, getting to places all over the world. Next step is merchandising. Fifth step is trying to get people to buy your product. What's so special about your clothing line? Last step is the client buying the clothing. The design process can take up to 24 months.
Clothing has had many effects on the lives of everyone. When clothes was first invented, it was because humans needed protection from the cold or the heat. Now clothing can be used as a form of personal expression and creativity.
Not all effects clothing have are good. The fashion industry has set unhealthy standards for people, especially girls, to live up to. Because all models are beautiful and thin, many people feel overly self-conscious and some develop eating disorders. Photoshop has not helped this problem. In fact, it has made it much worse.
Fashion designers have a huge impact on the world. Every piece of clothing has been designed by a person who took the time to sit down and go through the lengthy process of making a design and then getting it in a store. So next time you're at the mall buying clothes, stop for a minute and think about all the hard work that went into making the piece of clothing that you are holding in your hand. Think about designers like Charles Frederick Worth, because without him and every other hard-working designer, the world of fashion would be a very different place.